I want to first off thank everybody for being out to the meetup today. It was really cool.
Yep, all 80,000 of y'all were out there.
All 80,000 of you. Thanks for coming. It was neat just getting to meet a diverse group of peoples.
Yeah.
And we're really thankful to the Texas Farm for Hamilton. He is living in the front food forest on top of the mulch pile.
Yeah.
So he's in Cooney pig heaven. So that was awesome. But yeah, it was a great day. Great people. We had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so thanks for coming out and always say hi, y'all. Like we're just
we're normal
regular people. We're not normal people.
No, yeah, that's true.
There's nothing normal about us, but we're
just hillbilly rednecks. Don't be scared to come up and say, "Hey, I know you."
Say, "Hey, don't I know you? Where do I know you from?"
Yeah, we're not celebrities by any stretch of the imagination.
No, we're not.
And I don't want to be. So
it's great. It was great getting to talk to a lot of really cool people. But now let's get into our article.
So what is the article for today about?
So the article for today, let's share screen. Chrome tab. Oh, it's up here twice. Okay, here we go. Article is linked at the top of the notes down below. Please don't ask me for the article. You would not believe, y'all. Where can I find this information? Well, other than me, like, jump inside your head and read it to you into your inner ear, check the notes in the bottom of the thing.
Can you use this? Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I can.
So then you don't have to scroll.
So I'm starting on page 6, y'all. This is talking about the food barons and how they're buying up the infrastructure, how companies are consolidating. And this is what happens when there's all kind of like slush fundery going on. There was lots between, okay, so you had TARP, right? You had TARP, and that was the bank bailout from the mortgage crisis. And a lot of that TARP went unspent until a more convenient time when these mega banks and these venture capital companies found something that they wanted to scoop up. They would scoop stuff up. And then when you have these gigantic bailout infrastructure things like with the 19 crisis and all that stuff, this is where all the financing comes from for these mega multinational corporations just to suck everything up. So we're going to start here on page 6. I'm only going to read like maybe the first 5 or 6 pages. There's some really good illustrations in here of consolidation of power. And so we're going to get into it. In 2020, as the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded, lockdown, concentrated markets, logistic disruptions, and the spreading health crisis combined to ramp up hunger and food insecurity, with nearly 12% of the global population, 928 million people, severely food insecure. Climate change grew more apocalyptic. And now, look, I'm not saying that I'm buying into some of the propaganda language in here, all right? I'm not vouching and validating for some of the propaganda in here, but what I think is very interesting is some of the statistical facts about what big food and big ag is talking about in here. We do not prescribe to climate change. We are climate deniers. We are in a grand solar minimum, and everything is cooling. That's why they have to ramp up. They have to ramp up the fear about the warming, the climate change stuff, because they got to do it now because they know that the numbers are dropping. So that's why all of a sudden climate change was going to end the world as we know it in 12 years, right before the COVID-19 thingamabob. Extremely volatile. Okay, I'm sorry. Wildfires in Australia, severe drought in the southern cone of Latin America, crippling floods and locust plagues in sub-Saharan Africa, and exacerbated acute hunger and misery. Extreme volatility and cellular economic inequality have now become defining features of global food and agricultural markets. And one of the main reasons that this has happened is because of, the Cecil Rhodes, the Rhodes Scholarship, and the Anglo-American establishment has, in the last 100 years, pillaged all of these, made these third world countries completely third world, and the Food World Order and the WHO and all of these NGOs that claiming that they're trying to help people and vaccinate them and provide them with food. They're doing all the opposite, and they're extracting their wealth, and they're extracting their, and then there's all this food arbitrage, like in tropical countries where they flood the country with an import, and they stop the local farmers from producing because it makes the local food worthless, because they flood the country with ultra cheap subsidized food. And they've been doing that for 100 years to damage the local infrastructure. They've done the same thing in America, making high fructose corn syrup based products that are grain based high fructose corn syrup. So you get very cheap so-called food, right? And everybody eats cereal for breakfast and all that kind of stuff. And we end up with extreme volatility and staggering economic inequality have now become defining features of global food and agricultural markets with asymmetrical impacts. Even as global food insecurity, food prices and hunger soared, big food and big ag posted record-breaking profits. That is astounding. At the same time, the COVID-19 pandemic brutally unmasked the extreme vulnerability of a highly centralized, industrialized food system that exploits workers and relies on just-in-time global supply chains. And all of the infrastructure meltdowns that happened during the Rona were all based upon this just-in-time supply chain. And as soon as any of the infrastructure goes a little wonky, next thing you know, you can't get anything. You can't find anything. And then they continue. Then once they saw how effective it was, now they can really monkey with the supply chain. The just-in-time global supply chains that are not non-transparent and susceptible to disruption and corruption. Corporate concentration is a fundamental driver of these and other failures across every link of the industrial food chain. And this is what we're talking about at the meetup today. Talked to a guy named Austin. Thanks for introducing yourself, Austin. He's going to school for regenerative agriculture. He's interested in pasture-raised chickens. Yeah. And, we're interested in that kind of stuff. And I was explaining to him, as the supply chains, as the inventory evaporates on the shelves, which will happen, the local supply chain becomes very powerful. And also the local suppliers, it makes it much more profitable. To supply a direct end product without all the marketing expense and without all the commercial type of infrastructure that's required. So being a local food producer to your local community and surrounding area is, because of all this craziness and supposed terribleness, the benefit of all of it is it makes it a profitable, lucrative thing to you as a local grower supplying local product to your community. It makes it profitable where you can actually live off of the proceeds, because the price is going to go kind of to where it should be, because for so long the price of everything has been artificially driven down by all this China slave labor and all this monetary arbitrage and all this on-time infrastructure that is now went kapooey by design. Power surge, shoring up power and crisis profiteering. Never let a good crisis go to waste. When a handful of giant companies are allowed to dominate an uncompetitive markets, right? And they always try to blame this on capitalism. But here's the reality. Laissez-faire, free market capitalism means that there's a very low entry, right? So that's called opportunity. There's a very low entry to enter a market. Well, when there's multinational corporations and there's governments and there's regulation, barrier, wall, and it's all in the name of, we just want to give you safe food and we just want to protect you from raw milk and all this stuff. Yeah. It's a posterior clown circus. All right. And that's all it is. And whatever they say they want to do, they want the opposite. And they talk about when a handful of giant companies are allowed to dominate in uncompetitive markets with little regulatory oversight, they can and do use their market power to squeeze out competitors, raise prices, hijack the R&D agenda, monopolize technologies, even flawed and ineffective ones, and maximize profits. Today, amid ever-increasing corporate concentration and anemic antitrust regulations, some of the world's largest companies are using pandemic-induced supply chain gridlock and inflation as an excuse to jack up prices, a practice known as crisis profiteering. Okay, Merriam-Webster. In 2020, most of the world's largest food and agricultural giants saw sales and profits surge while almost 1 billion people went hungry and crops failed. In 2021, CNN reported that inflation was like a gift to the grocery sector, which marks up the full rate of inflation plus a little bit more. But it's not just the grocery sector. You know what's hilarious is they do all this manipulation, right? And then somebody like Sleepy Brandon comes out and says, you oil guys, you better not price gouge at the pump. Cool story, bro. Cool story. You see, and that's like the marionettes behind the, you better not bring it at the pump. You know, that's what you get with Sleepy Joe. And Sleepy Joe's thinking like, oh, I hope I just don't soil myself. Okay, so let's see here. But it's not just the grocery sector. A wide range of sectors are taking advantage of the situation, benefiting from inflation and sometimes even restricting supply chain to keep prices high. We saw that in the lumber industry during the Rona. I know truck drivers that deliver
that was nuts.
lumber, and they said, man, we're going to these supply houses and it's stacked to the sky.
Yep.
And they're only quarter loading my truck or half loading my truck. And they were purposely holding back to keep the price incredibly high. Let's see. A recent analysis of 100 U.S. corporations found a median increase in profits. And see, the other whole thing is they're really, everybody, governments are really cool with demonizing corporations. Corporations, since they're so large and they own anybody and everybody and anything, they love being the bad guy. They love being the demonized corporation. You know, and this is what's very wrong with the conservative Republicans, because the conservative Republicans, they will never point out crony capitalism. They will never point out the monopolistic stuff and how that like there is very, very little free market left, y'all. It's only vestiges, and it's only on really small levels, and it's only on honestly like local levels like we have right now, where there's not all these crazy hurdles and monetary hurdles and regulatory hurdles and this registration and, you know, this form and that form, where there's an enormous amount of barrier to entry. You know, the internet and online was the last great real free market, and you can see just how they're collapsing that and how they want to continue to control and collapse that. We got to experience that a little bit. All right. A recent analysis of 100 U.S. corporations found a median increase in profits over the past 2 years of 49%. Now, why do they want to demonize all this profiteering and profits? Well, because capitalism bad. And so how we fix capitalism? Stakeholder capitalism. And, you know, it's called communism. You know, it's like funny, like people that say, well, China, they're capitalistic. Yeah, right. That's all stakeholder nonsense. You know, and they're all getting like locked in there, like welded into their apartments and whatnot. Yeah, that's capitalism. Yeah, that's what happens with capitalism. Yeah, you get welded into your apartment, into your high rise. When it comes to food prices hikes in a crisis, it is difficult to discern what's genuinely crisis related and what's rank profiteering. In other words, the problem isn't just supply chain chaos or inflation, it's corporate greed. And this is absolutely true, but like I said, it's exclusively to demonize capitalism and the powers that shouldn't be, and the global, international, you know, all these WEF guys and Bilderberg and all this public-private partnerships. There's nothing There's nothing when that's crony public-private partnerships is crony capitalism. That's when the corporations and the government are interfused with one another. And that's how you have Monsanto CEOs flipping back and forth between FDA and all that stuff. Same thing with the banking cartel. From top 10s to top 4s. Now check this out. Our research reveals that after decades of consolidation, right? Decades, many industrial food chain sectors are so top heavy, they are controlled. And we know this in the mainstream corporate media. We know everything on the Black Mirror, everything, 67,000 channels and nothing on. Everything on the Black Mirror is run by like 4 to 6. You know, you have Disney, I won't go into what I think about Disney. You have Disney, and then you got, you know, the other 3 or 4 players, and that's it. So it's the same thing in big food, you know. Top heavy. Economists typically consider a 4-firm concentration ratio of 40% or higher reflective of a sector that operates as an oligopoly. Many of these sectors we monitor are already above that 40% threshold. Others are on the verge of passing it. Look at that. Look at this, Syngenta. We've been talking about Syngenta, y'all. We were talking about Syngenta in the Netherlands. We were also talking about BASF. And there you have Bayer. You got Bayer in there, and you got Corteva. The top 4 firms control 62% of the world's market. The top 6 control 78%. China's colossal Syngenta Group is poised to control 1/4 of the world's pesticide market following the merger of Sinochem and ChemChina. The top 2 companies control 40% of the global seed market. The top 6 companies control 58%. Bayer alone controls 23%. 4 firms, Syngenta, Bayer, BASF, Corteva, control half of the world's commercial seeds and 62% of the world pesticide markets. 4 companies control 4% of the global market. The top 6 control 50%. The world's largest ag machinery company, Deere & Co., controls 18%. Animal Pharma, 4 farms control 61% of the global animal pharmaceutical market. 6 firms control 72%. The largest company, Zoltis, I think is how you say that, holds 20% of the global market. Livestock genetics, 3 multinational companies provide the breeding stock for virtually 100% of the commercial poultry genetics worldwide. 2 of them are privately held. That is absolutely incredible. And this is why this livestock genetic types, this is why heritage breeds and, you know, these genetically monkeyed with livestock, they're ephemeral. They require heavy antibiotics, heavy vaccination. And that's because why? You know why they require all that? Because of this right here. And this guy here, the livestock. Oh, hey, I know this guy over here. Well, my wife's family, her dad runs this, you know, and they all in bed together. Check out this. Check this out, y'all. This is nuts. 25 years ago, we reported that the top 10 seed companies controlled 40% of the global commercial seed market. And that was a lot. That was heavy concentration 25 years ago, right? This is why I love guys like M.I. Gardner, right? And I love these local small seed companies, right? They see this oligopoly or whatever they're calling it, right? And they're like, we need to control, if we can take back our power and control the seeds and provide it, right? One, we can cut these guys out and we can become locally stable and incredibly profitable and just cut these guys right out.
Yeah, and the less companies that are producing stuff, the more power, you know, when it goes from 10 seed companies to 2 of them, they can pretty much do whatever the heck they want to the price
and the
and
quality
everything.
and the type of seed and to whatever it says on the packet and whether or not it's
and
true or not.
You can't really complain because those are the
What are you gonna
two only companies that are making seeds, you know.
Yeah.
So
when you go from 15 to 10 companies, not much changes. When you go from 10 to 6, a lot changes. But when you go from 6 to 4, it's a fix. The fix is in. Those who have market power can raise prices above what's considered fair market value. We're at a point in our market concentrations that we haven't seen ever before. This is why when you're in a competitive market with lots, and the only way you can have a competitive markets is when there can be lots of players. The only way there can be lots of players is when there's very low regulation and there's a much ease of entry to enter the market. You know, M.I. Gardner, because of the internet, has become very successful and very profitable, you know, and it's because of the ease of entry. And he's done a great job. And definitely go check out, if you're looking for seeds, check out M.I. Gardner. Those who have market power can raise prices. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Power play. Spinning false narratives. Now, we should all be really, really up on this now because everything is just a false narrative spin. To sustain their market dominance, the industrial food chains, big players actively work to deflect attention from their power grabs by promoting a distorted picture of global food and agricultural systems. This was evident at the UN's controversial 2021 Food Systems Summit, where big food executives and their trade groups wrung their hands over a food system broken by climate change and pandemic. I mean, they've been setting this up for a really long time. And man, the first decent global crisis is we're going to cash in.
Yep.
Then they assured us that they were the only ones who could fix it. Problem, reaction, solution, right? You create the problem, you overreact. Oh no, what are we going to do? And then, oh, well, wait a minute. Oh, why didn't I think of this? I have the solution.
No way.
Well, I created the problem. I know how to fix it. With a ready-made agenda for food system transformation. And guess what this solution is? Bugs and 3D printed meat. Yummy. Wow, that's going to just work out great, isn't it? Big food consistently seeks to undermine the fact that the world's 3 billion indigenous and peasant producers, rural and urban, fishers and pastoralists, not only feed a majority of the world's people and most of the world's malnourished, but they also create and conserve most of the world's biodiversity, making indigenous and peasant producers humanity's best defense against climate change. And once again, now, this is talking more respectively of third world countries, but it's the same thing here in America. Guys like, Alan Savory, he's from Zimbabwe. Yeah. But, you know, guys like Gabe Brown, guys like Joel Salton, guys like Justin Rhodes, guys like that are doing White Oak Pastures, Will Harris, right? These guys that are doing regenerative ag commercially here, and they're fixing the soil, they're regenerating the soil, they're producing very high quality, nourishing, healthy food, free of antibiotics, free of vaccines. And those same guys are doing the same thing here in America. And you can start that process. And guys like Austin who want to start doing poultry chickens or whatever, you can start that up. And as this supply chain continues to crumble, one, you're going to be able to feed your family, right? Your meat birds. I think one of the coming problems with pasture-aged chickens is the use of the Cornish cross. Yeah. And when it becomes problematic to buy your Cornish cross from a major hatchery, so I think we need to be working on that solution now. As far as what the solution is, maybe it's one of these larger heritage breeds. I don't know, or maybe it's a multi-purpose bird. There's lots of really neat multi-purpose birds, but I mean, you can clearly see that's a problem that's going to happen. Yes, with all this bird flu stuff and everything else, that's going to be a problem. So we should be looking for solutions now.
That's sustainable.
Yeah, we should look for a sustainable solution now. I don't see Cornish cross meat birds as a sustainable solution?
No.
Okay. Power up. Techno fixes to lock in corporate control. The food barons are introducing a suite of new technologies and techno fixes. This is where the technocracy comes in. We're going to fix it all with technology. And in essence, their idea of technology is anti-God, anti-creation, anti-natural. It's the most dystopic sci-fi trash. It's incredible. Oh, and you know what? The other thing a lot of other people say, oh, well, if you weren't laughing about this is serious stuff. I mean, you got to joke about it a little bit, y'all.
Yeah,
you can laugh or you can cry. I mean,
yeah.
Pick your poison. I mean, if you want us to just weep over this, I know it's tragic.
Yeah.
But, you know, we joke around a little bit. We laugh. That's who we are.
Yeah.
All right. It's not for everybody. So if it's not for you, you don't have to comment. Just go to the next 8 billion YouTube channel. Okay. But we don't feed trolls here. I'm just saying. Okay. They have already wrested control of the agricultural research and development agenda to suit their own interests whilst continuing to concentrate power and influence trade, aid, and agricultural policies to fuel their growth and profit. Up and down the industrial food chain, the digitization of food and agricultural emerges as the new techno fix of the day. Our ongoing research reveals that every sector of the industrial food chain is in the process of transforming into a digital enterprise. At the same time, big tech is becoming tightly entangled with industrial food production. Data extracted via digital technologies is now itself a commodity. The industrial food chain relies on big data to grow, process, trade, track, sell, and transport its products. Digitalizing food and agriculture from farm to front door. The vista of new digital initiatives in food and ag is dizzying. On the farm, it introduces concerted attempts to impose digital agriculture, weaving in drone sprayers, artificial intelligence-driven robot planters, and automated animal feeding operations tricked out with facial recognition for livestock. Big ag giants such as Bayer and Deere & Company, Corteva, Syngenta, and Nutrien are restructuring their entire business around big data platforms. Bayer FieldView digital platform, for example, extracts 87.5 billion data points from 180 million acres, 78.2 million hectares of farmland in 23 countries, and funnels it into the cloud servers of Microsoft and Amazon. Deere, the world's largest farm machinery company, now employs more software engineers than mechanical engineers.
Whoa.
On the route to retail, the global grain trading system is getting a digital overhaul as it becomes increasingly automated and products are tracked via blockchain. At the same time, online grocery platforms and food delivery apps such as DoorDash, Zomato, and Deliveroo surged during pandemic lockdowns are now growing into a whole new last mile, last link in the industrial food chain. It's all track trace database, y'all. This is all track trace to market to you, and all this track and trace and all of this stuff that can be tracked and done and processed with data. None of it is healthy. No, it's all prepackaged, wrapped in plastic trash, right? And so the solution is local. The solution is backyard, okay? And the solution is barter, and the solution is your local economy, right? Your local infrastructure. And that sounds, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, that was the reality.
That was normal.
That was your only option, what I mean? And now, all we're doing is having to return to a common practice. And so everybody says, well, how do you do that in the big city? I have no idea. I don't know. That's why I don't live in the big city. That's why I don't want to be anywhere near big city.
Yep.
And I wish I had the solution for that. I mean, I think there is a good solution. You grow a bunch of bugs inside a gigantic enclosed warehouse, and you let the people eat bugs. I mean, I think that is the solution. That's just as good a solution as I have. I mean, I don't have a solution for this, like for Dallas-Fort Worth area. I don't know. I don't know how you're going to do it.
Unless if you wanted to do something like Curtis Stone kind of did with his urban farming type situation, I guess.
Yeah, if it was possible and there was enough
land,
yards, and,
yardage.
Well, if there was enough
Dirt.
yardage, and then there was
Can't be concrete though. Plants don't grow real well in concrete.
Right, and see,
asphalt.
That's where the problem is. The problem is in urban areas you can grow stuff like leafy greens, but the problem is you can't grow animals, and you need the condensed concentrational nutritional value.
That's the tricky part
to feed people.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're just going to eat lettuce and artichokes and radishes,
it's good for the summer months and stuff like that.
It's good. It's not something that's going to sustain you.
Not long term.
And it's not something that you can store over the cold months. You know, there's just enormous amounts of problems with it.
Yeah.
Big food and big ag in China, Brazil, and India, and East Asia. In decades past, industrial agriculture was overwhelmingly dominated by corporations based in North America and Europe, and focused primarily on meeting market demands in those regions. Today, but you got to get, that's too close to where you're trying to dominate. When you're trying to deconstruct first world countries, you can't allow them to have their own food manufacturing, right? So you globalize it and you internationalize it and you push it to the outskirts. So that way, when you collapse the system, we can't, if it was still in North America, I'm like, well, we'll just stop exporting so much and locally distribute.
Oh yeah.
But it's already been deconstructed, Today, corporate players in the global South, and you know what it really is about? They spread it all out around the world to the third world countries, and then they pay slave wages, right? Like, oh, well, if we push, and that's all Heinz Kissinger and Brzezinski, they planned all that in the 70s. You can just read Tragedy and Hope, by Carol Quigley, and it's all in there, and it says exactly how they handpicked China, and they made China, and they did the trading with China, and then they built the corporation, the manufacturing in China. It's all by design, right? All by design. Especially China, Brazil, and India are reordering the industrial food chain while adopting the same extractive model as their northern counterparts. The pace and scale of China's hyper-industrialized agri-food system is without precedent. Chinese food barons are catering to colossal domestic as well as global markets. China's state-owned Syngenta Group is now the world's largest agrochemical input firm. Seeds, pesticides, fertilizers. And China's newly consolidated COFCO is second only to Cargill as the world's largest agricultural commodity trader. Now check this out, because you're going to hear these guys' names, and these are the guys that have been sucking up residential real estate, power trip, asset managers, and venture capitalists driving financialization. Recent decades have seen a massive increase in land grabbing and venture capital speculation in food and agriculture assets worldwide, with the latter trending exemplifying the financialization of the industrial food chain. In this way, the driving purpose of food systems moves even further away from feeding people to feeding profits. More recently, private equity, that terrible capitalism. More recently, private equity and asset management firms are flocking to global food and agribusiness. At the close of 2020, the private equity industry managed more than $7.5 trillion in capital, with increasing influence over the levers of corporate power in food and agriculture. For example, just 3 of the world's largest asset management firms collectively control more than 1/4 of all institutional shares of some leading agribusiness corporations. Selected holdings of big 3 asset management firms is State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock. Just do a little bit of research on BlackRock, y'all, and not on Google either. Use your Brave browser and look at BlackRock and see where it gets its money from, right? Food and Ag Company, PepsiCo, and look at these share. Look at this: Tyson, ADM, Deere, Corteva, Mosaic, right? Mosaic's like potash. Walmart, Kroger. Look at these positions. Percentage of shares held collectively by the big 3: PepsiCo 20%, Tyson 25%, ADM almost 24%, Deere 16%, Corteva 24%, Mosaic 24%, Walmart 10%, Kroger 26%. That is a huge consolidation
Kroger
of
owns
powder.
a lot.
Yeah, that's a huge consolidation of powder.
Yeah.
But you know what? I guess we can wrap it up here. We covered an enormous amount of information. I'm not sure but there's this whole, this next section is really good. And like I said, I chew up the meats, I spit out the bones. I don't buy into all the, propaganda that's in there. But there's an enormous amount of. Well, thank you very much for the super chat,
Jules.
We can't see the chat when we're
I know,
reading the
yeah.
article, so I apologize.
Yeah.
Plus, we're just trying to push this information out, and so we don't really get to look at the chat. But we really appreciate y'all hanging out.
Yeah.
We had a great time today at the meetup, and it was great to meet. What I always love asking subscribers, like, oh, so what was it when you? Oh, I just started watching y'all last week, or. Oh, it was the Berkey video.
You should talk about the one lady. She was funny.
Oh, yeah. So
her story was quite funny.
We met this kind lady, and she was like...
She's probably watching this.
She's like, I got to tell you this. She said, the first time... She didn't say which video it was. She was like, look at these clowns. She was like, they hijacked some other guy's video, and they're just trying to, like, use his material.
They're being lazy.
You know, they're just being lazy. And it's interesting, like I was explaining to her, when you come up with these ideas... Like Matt had this idea, right?
Yeah.
And it was largely inspired by JP Sears started a reaction channel.
Yeah.
And Matt said, "Hey, Dad, I think we should like react to some videos." And I'm like, really? You think that's a good idea? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. I mean, my whole strategy is like, try it. If it works, do more of it. If it doesn't work, don't do it. So, a little trial and error, try, fail, adjust. That's kind of how we do everything around here. And so she said, yeah, I first saw this video and I'm like, look at these clowns. And they're just like trying to recycle somebody's information.
Yeah.
And like, I never saw it like that. I always saw it as like,
we're getting the word out.
Yeah. And our boys being content creators, I'm like, man, how neat would it be if somebody else picked up their information and pushed it out there, and it would redirect people to our channel. I'm like, that could be like the greatest. And imitation is the sincerest form of flattery when you're putting somebody else's information out there, especially if it's not proprietary, which, we can have debates on what proprietary even means and all that stuff. I'm more of an anarcho-capitalist, y'all, and I think that a lot of this patent stuff is just to control everything. And if there weren't patents, but once again, we get into like laissez-faire, free market, and then we get into crony capitalism, and that's what's kind of destroyed everything. So, but so she was like, when I first watched you guys, I just thought, oh, this is terrible. And she was like, and then I watched another one, and I was like, you know what? And I was like, what? We grew on you like a fungus, right?
She's like, yeah.
She was like, yeah. So it's just neat getting to meet everybody, talk to people, and and I just love it finding out when people want to know what Texas Dad thinks. Yeah. Well. We just really enjoyed hanging out with y'all.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer some questions, Matt? We can if you want to put your questions in all capitals, we will throw it up on the screen with our new high fidelity technology, and we could answer some questions. Do you see anything that's
not yet? I'm just scrolling up to see if
check out our shirt shop if you want some merch. They're really disappointing because we didn't.
Okay, so Wilmer's first video was
the Texas winter. Yeah, remember Wilmer. Okay, let's see. I know there's a little bit of a delay here, y'all. So I figure since we're on, we'll just stay on for a couple minutes. I don't like the dead air, y'all. Hi from Australia. What's really neat is we have an enormous Wilmer's from the Netherlands. We got lots of people from the Australia, from Austria, from lots of people from the Netherlands, lots of people from Australia.
Lots.
And that's why we like pushing out that a lot of that international information, because we're all being manipulated everywhere. And it's what's really scary and concerning in the comments is like when you see maybe, and you're assuming where they're coming from, whether they're Americans or whatever, and they're saying, see, this is what you get when you vote for all this stupid stuff. And I'm like, hey man, I haven't voted for anything stupid. And I actually stopped voting for a while, but because you know what voting is? Voting is like, and maybe not on a local level, voting for your local county commissioner, voting for your local sheriff, I think is very important. But like voting on a federal level, have you ever seen, if any of you that have ever had toddlers, there's like a little plastic steering wheel. Yeah. And they put it in the back seat. And so Johnny the 1-year-old Johnny can be in the back seat in his federally certified
I never got
baby car seat thing, right? And you have the little plastic steering wheel mounted there, and you're like, oh, where are we going, Johnny? We going to the grocery store? Yeah. Oh, look, Daddy, I'm driving. I have the illusion of choice. Now I'm turning left and I'm turning right. Well, that's what I think voting in our federal elections like. But that's just my opinion, y'all. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
And we still have the ability to have an opinion in America, maybe for now.
Kinda.
But maybe as long as certain words aren't used. And
exactly.
Yeah, and I was talking about voting. That's what got us in trouble. And that was basically what I was saying.
We love voting, though.
We love voting. Voting is so good. And we're
going to vote our way out of this.
Not only am I going to vote my way out, I'm going to vote so hard. I'm not even, okay, look, I'm going to stop trying to do anything for myself. I'm not going to be responsible for anything. I'm not going to grow any food. I'm not going to train my children. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to vote for the lesser of two evils until everything magically changes. And if I vote real hard, and if I rub a unicorn, and if I find the Blarney and kiss the Blarney stone at the end of the golden rainbow, then that's how you're going to vote your way out of it, y'all.
Yep.
It was awesome. I met Austin today, and he used to work in the District of Criminals, and he was like, yeah, man, we got out. They're all criminals. And I'm like, yeah, I know, buddy. The sooner that we realize they're all criminals, the better off we are. You can send us an email of the Pfizer CEO, and maybe we'll do a reaction video. Thanks, Third Timothy. Is that Robert Borla? People like my impersonations too.
They do. So that's actually what that one lady.
I'm gonna practice more impersonations.
Yeah, she really liked your impersonations.
And hey, has anybody checked out our new Uncle Klaus T-shirt? Has anybes ordered that yet?
Yes.
I think we got one Uncle Klaus, but check out.
Ours are coming in the mail, so that's why we're not wearing them.
Yes, we got some of our new designs here. Let me pull this up.
We'll show you them because they're really good.
We're going to show you some of our new designs here, y'all. If you haven't seen it yet, wait a second. I want to share screen. I just like being like techie guru guy. Watch this, y'all. So there you go. You will earn nothing. You will eat the bugs, and you will be happy. When people forget God, tyrants forge their chains. All right.
That's another one.
This is the all bestseller, Go Green Compost Globalist. When tyranny becomes law, resistance becomes duty. We had a subscriber today that was wearing a shirt very similar to that.
Yes.
We are the CO2. This is very popular. The Venn diagram is very popular. But
I just wanted to show that to y'all.
Just went up there, y'all. How do I stop sharing screen? There we go. All right. We're back. You like the Venn diagram? Yeah, and I've considered putting different dystopic novels in here. Like, so there's We, which was an older Russian. That was like We was like the original to Brave New World in 1984. It influenced both of those. So there's We, and there was a couple other really, very interesting, futuristic, dystopian sci-fi novels.
Where can I find the resources covered today? In the description down below, right?
In the description down below.
Yep.
If we're ever covering an article or a video, you can always, well, you should.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt's steering the ship.
Yeah.
So maybe, it's possible that we can forget, but you should.
I try my hardest to put it in
you
there.
You should be able
so.
And I know for a fact I put it in there right before we went live. That should be. And what I want to do is always put that all the way at the top. So I put the article.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is a PDF. True. It's all the way at the top. And yep, we are the CO2. That was the purpose of that. If we don't vote conservative, well, I hope so. Let's just hope and pray that voting matters, but I don't think it does. But because the conservative guys get co-opted, if they weren't initially co-opted, I went through the whole, like, remember the Tea Party, right? Taxed enough already. Remember those guys? Whatever happened to them? They all got assimilated into the board. That weenie dude down in Florida, I always forget his name. He's forgettable, and he's still down there. I always forget that guy. And guys like and Weffers like Dan Crenshaw, that staunch conservative. He's a globalist scum, Dan Crenshaw. He is a globalist scum, but when he was getting elected, well, it's a lot like when Trump was getting elected. Lock her up. Lock her up. Remember that? Remember WikiLeaks? Thank you, WikiLeaks. Oh, I'm going to do an impersonation. Thank you, WikiLeaks, for the massive dumps. Mike, are you on here? Thank you, WikiLeaks, for the massive dumps. And now I will let Julian Assange. I'm so thankful for the massive dumps that expose Hillary. I will let Julian Assange rot in international prison so that the CIA can assassinate him. Thank you, Bill Barr. Oh, we're gonna get the hook, y'all.
Timothy,
sign up to our Rumble now. If we disappear, check us out on Rumble.
Timothy, our email is countrytexasboys@gmail.com.
Which is also down below.
Yeah. Okay. You put that down there?
No, it's usually always down there.
Okay.
By our snail mail somewhere.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Our email should always be down there.
Yes, we are on Odysee as well.
Yep, we're on Odysee. We're on Rumble.
But anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much for jumping on tonight. And we're going to go ahead and go chill out. It's been a busy day.
Yeah, it's been a very busy day. We got church tomorrow. Yep. We're looking forward to that.
We got Hamilton the pig.
He's resting rather deliciously atop the mulch pile. Yep. And he is just in all of his glory, loving it. And we want to thank Texas Farm for gifting us Hamilton. He is going to have a luxurious home.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. We took our trailer and their trailer, and then we backed them up together, and then we were able to just walk them across. It was pretty neat. It was pretty neat.
And then it was the same thing. We backed our trailer up to the mulch pile. Schwackhammer! So we can walk right out. I love saying Schwackhammer. I just think it's a great avatar. I appreciate the hilarity.
Wilmer says he doesn't see. Oh,
you don't see the email?
He doesn't see the email.
Okay, I'll put it in here, y'all. Country. Hopefully I won't type a.
Yep, you did.
Oh, I did. Got like mini sausage.
Yeah, I know.
And a bad shoulder.
Yep.
Man,
it's fine.
I used to be a desk jockey, so I used to be better at typing. There you go, y'all. Wow, this even hyperlinks it. I don't know if y'all see it as a hyperlink, but
that's pretty sweet.
Aren't pigs unclean? Don't know. Not sure. I guess, they're unclean if you feed them unclean things. If you feed them clean things, I think they're.
Yeah, and this Hamilton's not. We're not eating Hamilton. He's going
but we do
to be
eat
the
pig. Pig is delicious.
But he's going to be the mascot. So
he's going to be
the farm.
He's going to be the. Hey, prep for eternity. Thanks for coming and hanging out.
But anyway, y'all.
See you, Wilmer. See you, buddy.
See y'all later.
We'll see y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.